Building relationships in the workplace is tough, especially when the boss is playing favorites. But a recent Harvard Business Review study finds that when managed correctly, picking favorites can be used for good, with employees reporting increased motivation to learn from the boss's favorite to improve their own work. Joining me now, naturopathic physician, relationship coach, and author of The 5 Elements of Relationships, How to Get Along with Anyone, Anytime, Any Place, Dr. Vicki Matthews. Doctor, good morning.
Good morning. It's great to be with you.
Thank you. So let's start with managers. Very interesting. The study found that the way they pick favorites makes a big difference. Explain that.
Well, I think it depends on how they manifest that favoritism, if it seems, and how other employees see it. If they see it as deserved, if they see it as, well, that makes sense, that's different than if it's like, oh, what did they do? I'm working just as hard. It doesn't make sense. So I think an understanding makes a difference. I also think it matters how the person who is the favorite reacts to it.
And what do you mean by that?
Well, if the person who has been singled out as the favorite is gracious about it and there's valid reason that other employees can see why they might be chosen as the favorite, so to speak, then it can be motivating for other employees. But if they're arrogant, if the chosen favorite is arrogant or smug, it really turns off other employees, and then it really can cause a lot of problems in an office.
Yeah, so it depends how that person acts with their colleagues. That's a good point.
Completely.
So, Doctor, what are the upsides to playing favorites, and what kind of effect do you think that has on employees? And more particular, how does having a favorite benefit a manager?
Well, having a favorite benefits a manager because it's someone they know they can trust. It's someone they can go to and they kind of know what they'll get from that person. It's also someone that they can hope will lobby other employees for the good sides of the management style and what's going on in the company. So it's almost like a second, if you will, someone that can go in and be a spokesperson for that manager. So that's an important aspect of who they select, who the manager selects as a favorite.
Sure.
And sometimes personalities just click. You know, sometimes you just really get along better with some people than other people. And that may be subtly playing and having an impact on it as well.
Interesting. Okay. So you have 3 basic rules you suggest that managers follow to build a successful relationship with their employees. What are those?
I do, Cheryl. They're real simple. Rule number 1 is understand the strengths of the employee that you're talking about. Everybody has strengths or they wouldn't be there. Understand what those are so that you can, rule number 2, play to those strengths. If you've got someone that's very outgoing and good with people, you want to put them in sales, don't put them in the accounting department. If you've got someone that's good with detail but hates talking to people, that would not be someone to pick as a salesperson. Yeah. And rule number 3 is if somebody is not doing well, if their performance is suffering, first and foremost, try to understand why. You've invested in them. Other employees are watching what's going on, and it doesn't send a good message if you just can the person. So rule number 3 is work with the person, try and play back to their strengths.
All right, real quick, thousands of employees, Doctor, are still working hybrid, they're fully remote.
Yes.
We know that things have changed, but what do you think the biggest change that you've seen we need to know about when it comes to work relationships and not physically seeing your coworkers anymore?
I think the biggest change will depend on how long you've worked with the company. If you've worked with the company for a long time, you know what everybody looks like, you've interacted, so doing that on Zoom or doing that on phone calls from home isn't really hard. If you are new to the company and you don't have those pre-established relationships, then it's much, much harder for that person to feel like they're part of a team, to feel like they fit in and belong.
All right, Dr. Vicki Matthews, thank you for expounding on this. Certainly a very eye-catching headline coming out of this Harvard study. Thanks for digging into it.
Thank you.